Hi, everyone. Welcome to this live transmission, and where I will be talking to you about the harvesting control systems in humanity, part 2, which is mostly related to energy. And a few weeks ago, I did a short clip talking about this as an introduction to this video. And well, this is a vast topic actually, because we are energy. We're information flowing, intertwined in these quantum particles, and this is energy. So when I talk about harvesting control systems in humanity, I refer to the way in how this phantom matrix, simulation matrix has been designed in order to obtain energy from us as these energy generators or as these batteries, in order for this matrix to continue alive by using the very same energy that receives or that sucks from us in order to become more powerful. And if we see this way of functioning, we can actually relate it to parasites, how parasites function, how they feed from their host. And then the host has all this energy leak, which sometimes is aware of, sometimes it's not. So then we can see how all this can branch into in different scales in how all this parasitic greed in relation to the phantom matrix can function. On the other hand, there is also another way to perceive this, which actually is not very dense, to say it somehow. It finds a point in communion in how we can take this all in our advantage. For instance, because it's up to us. Actually, that's the other side of it, that all of this was constructed for us to awake from that incubation, from the incubation state, and blossom into the particle of light, which some people call it the Christic consciousness, and actually reach that illumination while we are in the body. This is very important because, for instance, when we also talk about the light body and the ascension, a lot of thoughts come to the feel like we need to die in order to generate that state. And actually, that's just one way of it. We are required to ignite our light bodies, our plasma bodies, while still living in the body that we chose in this experience. Because that's part of the transition to the five-dimensional form of perception, that light body ignition, and which only can be generated through the heart and through achieving a high level of coherence that allows precisely that magnitude of light manifest. So now going back to this part of the control systems that are harvesting from our energy if we are not aware of them. So mostly when we talk about energy, even though I have said in the beginning that we are energy and that everything around us is energy, is information, vibrating, pulsing, oscillating, this tiny microscopic Planck scale bodies that are oscillating, and which is, in other words, spinning and interconnected to one another. So that is how the holofractographic field functions. And that's where from where this phantom matrix was inspired by, in order to to have the same design that the, let's say, higher levels of consciousness, so that it can sustain in a reality, for it to exist, bottom line. If the phantom matrix didn't have the fundamental assets of the higher fields of consciousness, it couldn't exist. So when we talk about energy, mostly we think about the level of endurance that is within our body, whether if we are very active or we feel very sleepy. Normally that's the first thing that comes to us, like how are your levels of energy. And well, so the first way that this simulation matrix fits from our energy, if we are not aware of this, is through our circadian system. The circadian system is related to regulating our cycles of sleeping and being awakened, like while we are wake up and while we sleep. So, and this is one of the most archaic systems within our body that have not evolved. Hold on. By the way, I'm just going to check in my Facebook, because sometimes, yeah, that's how I thought. Sometimes it just shows to a small range of audience the live transmission. Okay, so here we go. Yeah, so I was saying, and this circadian system hasn't evolved. Why? Because it's one of the main configurations of our body, along with the amygdaloid body, which is in our brain, which is related to create, like it's in charge of creating or producing the adrenaline, which can also take us to the lowest frequencies, because then it will lead to us living in a survival mode. And because when we are in fear, we generate adrenaline, and that's related to the amygdaloid body. So the amygdaloid body and the circadian system are the two most archaic systems in our body that have not evolved yet. So, and most people can actually even relate it to the reptilian brain. So, having said this, how can this harvesting control systems can be influencing our circadian system? Well, the most related to our circadian system, the most important one, we could say, is our pineal gland. And as you probably know, our pineal gland is the one that connects, is that antenna that connects us to higher forms of consciousnesses. And so it's this antenna that is normally asleep, that it's compressed, and that mostly it is calcified through the fluoride in your toothpaste, and also through other frequencies that are constantly booming to our pineal gland. How? Well, water as well, besides the toothpaste, and also through the interferential waves that some technology devices generate. So this is very interesting, because by this video, I don't mean to generate this state of paranoia, and it's just to be aware of what is going on in the reality, in our reality, and that we are capable to shift it. That's why we are aware of it at this moment. Otherwise, we would still not be aware of it. So if we are now, it's because the path has been opened for us to actually choose now, because we are ready And that's the beauty of the universal laws. The information has always been there. We weren't capable to remember it because the density and the vibration in the reality that we were creating was thicker. So now about the choice. Um, so these interferential waves are constantly beaming our pineal gland, which actually its nature as being in the shape of a cone, along with the cones that are in our ophthalmic system in our eyes. There are other cones that are the ones that perceive the colors in our eyes. So that's why the name is the third eye. This is two different. This is, well, in relation to the thalamic body, and I won't go into a lot of biological terms. I will try to keep it as simple as I can. So the bottom line, when we talk about the third eye and all the complex of the third eye, is because it relates to the connection of the two other eyes that we have. And it's because it's not only because of the vision, which would be the most evident, it is also because of the shape, the cones. Normally, when we talk about creating 0 point energy, how it works, how it functions, how the torus functions by creating two pine cones, sort of pine cones, which in the center generate the singularity and then the 0 point energy, that's torsion. Well, then that also is meant to happen in our brain through what we perceive normally, what we normally perceive as a reality. And when our pineal gland is it's not fully horizontal, it's actually a little bit pointing in 45 degrees through our causal chakra, which is here, right where the beam of light is hitting. Okay, there is our causal chakra. And it's interconnected to our pineal gland. So when our pineal gland is in a coherent state, then it's levitating 45 degrees and aligned to that chakra and actually beaming as an array all the way to the space memory network. So now what's the space memory network? The space memory network is what we can call as the akasha, is where all the information is pulsing, like the iCloud. And we can access to that space memory network easily when our pineal gland is in 45 degrees. And also, if of course specific parts of our brain, like the ventral striatum, which is a very sentient part of our brain, it's blossoming like a flower, like this toroidal flower, then it's very easy to tune also into this information when our mirror neurons, which are mainly located in the frontal lobe, in the neocortex, well, in the frontal lobe, and of course they're also located throughout all our brain and also in our heart. However, they're mostly located in our frontal lobe because they are perceiving reality, and hopefully, like, the purpose to it is that we acknowledge what the mirror code is, which is that at every moment be aware that what we are perceiving is a reflection of ourselves, then being capable to generate that empathy. And that empathy will take us to a whole gateway of experiencing and expanding our psionic abilities, hypersensorial capabilities that are inherent Okay, there I am. It's up to us whether to embody it or no. So, okay, there I am. I'm sorry. I was just checking in. Okay, so now, um, the organic thing, like the original way it is meant to deliver when there are not all these interferences going on in our field, there is no energy leak coming from other forces trying to harvest from our energy. The original thing, as how it's supposed to go, is that our pineal gland is giving this feedback from our eyes, our reticula, from the cones that are perceiving colors, which is a spectrum of light, and then generating this field of 0 point energy and then expanding all the way through our level of perception from the ether, because 0 point energy is ether. So that's how magic and alchemical the process is. We're capable to access to that ether as long as we have our pineal gland in 45 degrees levitated. And well, by levitated, I say like this inclination instead of being horizontal, like facing or directing 45 degrees to our facial chakra. And then there are these two cones, these two centripetal forces in the middle generating this 0 point energy. Where is the middle? Precisely where the eye of God is in our brain, the interthalamic adhesion, that the truly and original bridge in between our hemispheres. And when that opens up, it's really related to that celestial vault where we are capable to tune into all the information of the universe, downloading the ways like when we see in the movies or reading the books that they were capable to learn languages in one day and capable to practice martial arts, just by accessing to the codes. It's this, because we are expanding our neurons and like consciously and bridging them through our plasma body all the way to the space memory network. So we are capable of that and much more. So now, then, because I was talking about the pineal gland, our pineal gland is related to create melatonin. And this melatonin is mostly related to when you are ready to go to sleep. And while you're sleeping in all this dark environment, then melatonin is produced. And that is actually a high neurochemical that is allowing your endurance, your brain endurance, to manifest at a higher potential. Well, this is not completely true. We are not only producing melatonin while we are sleeping. We are producing melatonin when throughout the whole day, because the melatonin is also produced by our mitochondria. Every mitochondria within our body is generating melatonin. So the melatonin is created by the tryptophan, and the tryptophan is generated by the microtubules in our cells. Our body is full of cells, not only in one area, it's full of cells. So then now you're getting the full picture of how much energy are we generating, because the melatonin, actually we know that the mitochondria is mostly known as the powerhouse of the cell, the one that is generating cosmic energy, literally lightnings at every moment, and even if while I am sitting. So can you imagine the amount of energy that we are generating? So are we using that energy? And of course, if the energy keeps on producing, where is all the, are we stocking that energy? Of course not. The universe does not know about stocking. It's it's a torus. It's continuously producing. It doesn't need to stock. That only comes to this 3D. So that's why the ancient the indigenous people and the ancient ones would not stock. They would be in the present. They would live by the present because they would tune into the infinite source of all, continuously generating at every moment, and they would embody actually that source as fractals to it. So now, why is the melatonin so important? Because the melatonin regulates the sleeping cycles and throughout the moments that we are awake. So, and this is in relation to the part one of this series of videos that I am recording, which is the other way of control system, which is time. Because if we are living in a time which cycles are in complete lack of coherence with our biology, like this reality is in the idea, because it functions in a very distorted way. We perceive it like this, and actually it's decreased in speed. It's actually going very slow, even though we experience it like this. And well, it's going very slow in terms of frequency, like very low frequency. And we perceive it as it's going super, super fast, because actually the denser the environment is, the faster the light travels. And this is us. That's why they say that, well, it is said that if we are not ignited through our plasma body, then humanity ages faster than other galactic species. Because in other parts of the galaxy, due to the magnetic field, the energy is not going as low frequency as this one. So then the energy is not going as fast as those moments. So the energy is going very slow. Okay, thank you. The connection, it's a little bit, okay, I think this slide is better. Well, anyway, as I was saying, that is related to the transgression of the matter as how we perceive it. So, and that's the difference in between the Earth and other places in the galaxy where the aging process is quite different. Everything is mostly related to the magnetic density in the Earth. So now, how does this relate to time? As I was saying, if our biology is going at a specific rate, and the illusion, the configuration, the algorithms in this hologram is going at another speed, then that dephase in between our biology and that hologram is creating an incoherence in our hologram, in our biology, and then translated into our biology, because it is not generating a point in communion. The cones, the pine cones, are not generating that singularity, because they are pulsing at different rhythms. And this is why the hologram, the simulation matrix was created in that way, precisely to generate that. So now, the melatonin I'm sorry, but I am aware if the signal is cutting out. So, well, I hope it does not do that a lot. But anyway, so the melatonin is in charge of regulating, easing up those cycles while we are awake or sleeping. Because if our cycles are not in harmony, then we start to generate cortisol, we start to generate anxiety, and that enhances the process of aging, of creating more energy that actually is more profitable. The richer it is. So, um, okay, hold on. Yeah, I'm sorry. If it continues cutting out, then I will, it's most likely that I will be creating a part two of the part two. So, yeah, because this is an extend topic and I don't feel like it will be um, very profitable for you to listen to this, to watch this transmission while it is cutting out, so that you can tune into the whole spectrum of the message. So, well, so the melatonin stabilizes, regulates the harmony in between our cyclic and our biologic cycles in relation to the time that we sleep and the time that we are awake. So, have you experienced that you are very sleepy, even though it's 2 p.m. in the evening, in the afternoon, or at noon, or that you're very sleepy even at 10 a.m. and it's not normal? It's most likely that you are a very active person. Well, it's kind of related to that effect that this interferential wave coming through from very specific technological devices, and coming from the food, and coming from the water, and coming from the fluoride and so forth, it's affecting actually the pineal gland, and the pineal gland is creating less melatonin, and actually the mitochondria are generating more energy, but not the energy that actually is related to the melatonin. Because as I was saying, the mitochondria, all of them are generating melatonin, and they're mostly doing that in the guts, in the area of the guts. That's why also a lot of people have the need now to have a detox, because all those chemicals and all those waves, after going to the pineal gland and going through the nervous system, then it goes to the guts. And the more that this state of survival mode is generated through the dephase of time, you have to do this in order to be safe, in order to have money to pay food, in order to have a time to go to pick up your kids at school, to go to work, to do this, to do that, bam, bam, bam. All that anxiety and stress, even though you are, like taking it easy, but yet the rhythm that this reality goes is generating and overstimulating the production of a specific neurochemicals, as the adrenaline would be, and in this case in relation to the cortisol, that is quite stimulated and amplified when we are at an emotional state. And what creates an emotional state, like over emotional state? The survival mode. Because the survival mode feeds from fear. And if we go through all these aspects that I have been talking about, it's mostly fear related to time, not having time to do something or not having the time to be alive, like the clock is running out, we are running out of time. So that's how it's weaving the simulated matrix, the phantom matrix, in order to keep on fitting itself while most of the humanity is not aware of it. So now, that's one, which is the melatonin. Another one is the pineal gland is quite connected to the thymus gland. Where is the thymus gland? The thymus gland is here. It's also known as the high heart because it's above the heart. And it's a bridge in between our throat, where the thyroid glands are, and our heart. So if we see the importance in between these two, and also how a lot of people, it's now reflecting on the need of taking all these supplements to fortify their glands, it's because what the emissions that were anchored in the human mold or vessel are mostly targeting to the glands and the joints in our body, the 13 joints in our body. Why? Well, for many reasons. It also has to do with numerical algorithms that are embedded in the matrices, the primordial one and the phantom one, which is the number 13. That this is why it's used by secret societies, by the Mayans, by a lot of groups that know the power of the frequency that this number emits. Just one example. When we are talking about the particle of light, a particle of light, which is the shape of the Templar cross, which is an X, that if we count the edges of that cross are 12, plus the center, which is the unity, is the 13. And that's also in relation to Jeshua and his 12 disciples, and Mary Magdalene being the 14th force, which is like this electron surrounding the proton, orbiting the proton and the neutron, molding, that vessel. Anyway, so that's in relation to the number 13. And we have 13 joints. And if we count the one in our, like the maxillofacial, related to the jaws, then it's 14. It normally it would be like that which is not named, which is very funny because we express her here. But that's the irony of how this matrix was embedded. I will be talking progressively about these topics because I know it can be a lot of information. And this is one of my passions and actually my mission, to share how this holofractographic and holographic reality works. So anyway, so the 13 joints is like a pyramid. It goes from our ankles through our knees, through our hips, to our wrists, to our elbows, to our shoulders, and our throat. So you can say it's a pyramid, or it's a U, like in the wormhole. And that a magnetic part of the wormhole, where the information goes when it accesses and when it goes out. But anyway, so in those 13 articulations, there are anchors, energetic anchors. Those energetic anchors are beaming clock anti-clockwise. This is very important, anti-clockwise, which means leaking energy, unless you're aware of it and do something about it. So imagine that you have these 13 anchors, like toruses, that were codified to function anti-clockwise, as I was saying. And you may ask, how could they do it if it's a fundamental force of nature, cosmic nature, the torus, and it has two threads going clockwise and anti-clockwise to function? Well, this is why these toroidal bodies are fissured. This is very important. Like the Adam's apple beaten, fissured. So that's why they just take part of the information of the cosmic divine presence just to put 1/4 of the information and make it function, not fully function, but functioning enough to survive and link to the primordial matrix. So now, and also in the 9 glands, that's why, why the joints I was saying, because it's the motion, it's the movement, it's how we move. And what happened to the Jeshua, like this encoded frame of the cube unfolded, but static, across static? Where are the nails going? Well, not forcefully in his joints, but they are quite accumulating. Actually, they did it kind of okay. So, yeah, in the joints also, if you see throughout the history, like the handcuffs, the hips, where the motion, the pendulum motion of coitus happens, which if you only go through a pendulum motion, you're perpetuating the polarization. And we are required to transcend the idea of polarization in order to recognize that it's just one force, different shades of the spectrum of light, which actually generates another pattern, and it will be that spiral. So anyway, and I could go on, like the blackberry in the ankles, and when you pray, like giving your okay. If it cutouts again, I will be recording another video in continuation to this one. So, well, every joint in our body is related to one of the forms of imprisoning the body so that it won't move. It would be crucifixed or crucified. So, and about the glands are the regulators of our whole system. So that's why. And we are capable to, like, you're capable to transform this. All of this is highly transformable and restored to its original nature. As soon as you're aware of how this functions, it starts shifting. So, and then there are other processes which actually I can help you with through the different courses that I am offering at this moment, and also the one-on-one consultations. So, well, and yeah, just about that, where are the energetic anchors in the body, and how they are actually also quite entangled to specific celestial bodies, which is not only the moon. There are also very specific star systems in which they were embedded projecting all the way from our plasma to the plasma and the star systems, because yes, they it was also configured to use the way to limit the plasma recept the plasma awareness in our body. They even erased it from the school, like they don't talk about that. They just it's the fourth element of matter, and it's not the matter as how it has been shown to us. The Planck scale, or plasma at Planck scale, is the 0 point energy. It's the ether. So anyway, um, yeah, I will be recording the next video on this, about the amnesia and how the amnesia functions, and how it's also this control, harvesting control system in humanity. But anyway, I'm about actually to finish. I just wanted to say that what could be the solution to this? And even though each one of us like chooses their own way to correct this or to restore this, one way, of course, is actually like purifying the water that we drink, not using like things in our body that had fluoride and chlorine, like very little, and also be aware a lot of all the parasitic systems that can come through the food and so forth, because actually they were programmed holographically speaking to generate a low frequency within the guts in order to decrease the level of energy that we are producing, and then feeling like the need to sleep, so then power off the main conductors of our body, the heart, the brain, and then not having the enough energy to actually, like do something about it. It's like, yeah, go to sleep. And of course, there are also other kind of tiredness that you can get to feel, because some of them are related to body upgrades that your body requires from rest in order to fully update itself. Nevertheless, when it's something continuous that is actually diminishing your endurance in your life, and it's actually confusing you and it's bringing you down, and then it's quite related to all these energies coming through in at all these layers that I have been talking about, and affecting your melatonin production, and therefore, like generating a dephase in between your cycles, and then leading to anxiety and leading to fear because you don't know what is happening. And I'm talking about a very subtle level. It's not like you're falling asleep and you're like, oh my god, I'm going to die. No, it's something more subtle that actually and progressively can affect your perception of how your body's not responding to you, and then that starts to generate like alert, 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 and then leading to other things. So also doing a lot of meditations in relation to the giving the command to your body to create melatonin. It's also something very profitable. Connecting and tuning into your pineal gland, like raised in 45 degrees, interconnecting it to the cones in your head, because imagine that it's like, if we say that this is an antenna, if it's not fully connected to our eyes, like, and by this I mean opening our capability of seeing beyond the evident, then we just have one pine pulsing. But if we are opening our vision, then the two pines start to, and it is also related to the capable of mirroring to our reality. If we mirror to our reality, we create empathy, then these pine cones these pines start to motion, to move, to generate an angular momentum at a higher scale, and creating that 0 point energy in the center of part of our brain, and then generating all these longitudinal waves that connect to the space memory network, and then actually then they're evident naturally, leading to us and enable our capability of telepathy, telekinesis, time travel, and I could go on and on and on, depending on the level of the longitudinal waves that are being emanated from our brain. And because also, like, time does not come from here, from the front to the back of us. Actually, it's backwards, from our back to the front. That's why in some depictions, people it's drawn with eyes in their back, and also like all these encoded sayings, because the capability to travel, like the owls themselves, is one of their powers. Like these watchers that can travel through time, through space-time, because they have the vision in the back part of their brains, which is a high formation of longitudinal waves expanding as an array and connecting to the space memory network. So, and also something very important, and which is some of the things that I am doing and we are doing actually in the online courses that I'm facilitating on the plasma body activation, is retrieving all your energy from precisely all those egregors, removing all those anchors that connect to the phantom matrix within your DNA, within the parts of your body, because also in the DNA it is embedded through in this squared form through the angles, and even thought, or Tehuti talks about this in the Emerald tablets, like what is said about not going through the angles, because you can get lost through the time, and not being able to go beyond the continuum of space-time, because in the angles there is another code that I will be talking about in the part 2 of my video, the cube code, because it's related to the limited DNA, or the dormant parts that were induced to that state when the human, as we know it as a advanced modern human, was created, or the Adam prototype. So, and then again, which we are invited actually to do something about it. That's why all the information is out there. Well, actually, it's in here, and we're bringing it out. It's not uploads, it's outloads, actually. Well, that's how I perceive it. And because we're being requested to do something about it. That's why all the information is there. And now, yeah, I think that will be all for this. At some point, I remember about something else, I will be recording for sure another video. But just, oh, yes. So through the plasma body activation, it's required to remove all these anchors. But because these anchors, whether if you're having sex, whether if you are breathing, whether if you are loving, whether if you're laughing, whether, like inherently, until you do the cut of those filaments that are entangling your human mold or vessel to that matrix, you are giving in at least 20% of your energy. That's why, even like as much as many humans and avatars have done throughout history, it's like, okay, not even a scratch to the tiger. To say, well, the tiger is such a beautiful animal, and everything has a beauty to it, to be honest. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here sharing, right? And but you know what I mean. Then you can ask yourself, like, not even a scratch. Like, there is still everything going on, and all this process of awakening is going too slow. Why? Well, part of it is, imagine just the power that we have when every time that we are in this coitus act and having sex, and all this nuclear energy that we are generating, and most people is not even aware of it. And it's creative energy capable to create life, like from this all the way to this. That's a miracle. That's a huge process of divine creation. It's the gods like skills. And if we just let that energy go, even though as a couple or like to yourself, you settle a purpose. Okay, this energy is going here. If you don't remove those anchors, energetic anchors put in your hips, for instance, and in your reproductive glands, then part of the toll take somehow goes to that matrix. So it's very important to remove all those filaments that were entangled as knots, and then therefore creating like fissured toroidal bodies, counterclockwise, leaking energy, abstracting energy from the body. So and yeah, that we are doing a lot of this for the plasma body activation, otherwise it cannot be activated. And if you're interested in knowing more about this course, this online course, you can write to the mail that I'm going to put in the description below this video. And also I will be filming another video tomorrow so that you can know more about the plasma body, what it is, what are the benefits of activating this body, besides all the ones that I have commented on right now in this video. And and also the dreams, like also these filters through dreams. If you are going to bed, and apparently you should be generating melatonin and having a well-rested dream, so why are you you're waking up so tired and drained? If so, well, because there are also other kind of mists, parasitic mists that are like jellyfish stored in the person's brain, energetically speaking, of course, or from the astral, and then generating, like playing all these movies of things of the past that are not present even more, generating or other events, like things very random dreams that generate a lot of emotions within you, and then you wake up and you're like all emotional and being drained. Okay, so that is also another way, which is related again to the dream, to the circadian system. Why? Because when we are generating melatonin in a proper form, we're being capable to actually shift consciously and from a state of awareness, shift from this reality to the hyperspace while being awake. No need of being dreaming. So it can be like traveling and through the continuum of space-time. And of course, that is very powerful. And also, it helps you to be aware, more aware of how the space-time constants function, and that everything that you might be perceiving and being bombarded with, it's an illusion. So then you wouldn't be falling for that illusion. And then you wouldn't be generating so many emotions that would be harvesting other control systems. Or if you are generating so many, like a lot of emotions, like for instance, the monks do, because they do it, like intendedly, because then when you generate on purpose an emotion, even there is no event for you to do that, what you're mainly doing is generating energy, a blast of energy, a blast of energy. And then well, it's most likely that you wouldn't be generating anger or sadness unless it had a purpose, like an alchemical purpose for a specific space-time constant. That's another topic. But and if you are generating like on purpose a lot of energy, then you are embodying and inhabiting that energy. You're being a sovereign being, and actually giving a specific purpose to that energy. So having said this, thank you very much for watching this video. May you have a beautiful night, day, whatever you're experiencing at this moment. And may all these words that I have shared with you come to generate harmony, awareness, and expansion, so that all this information continues to interconnect and create higher forms of patterns that actually restore human consciousness to its most evolutive expression of itself, the unified consciousness. So having said this, Kiriukul uniakas alahas anayakut uluik nach erik.